All right, great, everyone. Welcome to the virtual clubhouse, and thanks to the Ad Club of New York for providing Hivestack a platform to share our thought leadership. We are active members of the Ad Club, which provides professionals the opportunity to learn about the latest technologies available to marketers today. For those leading the charge, and has a mission to educate, celebrate, and empower their over 6,000 plus members. So we encourage those of you who are not members to join, and you can do so by simply going to the advertisingclub.org. With that, I would love the opportunity to introduce our Chief Product Officer at Hivestack and our Senior Product Manager at Hivestack, Dara and Chloé. Dara?
Yep. Hi. So I'm Dara, Chief Product Officer at Hivestack, managing our kind of overall global and holistic roadmap with all of our different products.
Hi, my name's Chloé Varennes. I'm Senior Product Manager here at Hivestack, overseeing the DSP, our demand side platform, specifically our planning tools. And just to give everyone a quick overview of what product management is, it's essentially the intersection between business, UX, and engineering technology. So essentially, we're like your like the brand managers and clients that you work with. Instead of having a physical good or product, we're working on a technical product.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again to the Ad Club in New York for allowing Hivestack to talk about some new innovative products rolling out to market to help solve some pain points in out of home, specifically in the digital out of home landscape for agencies, brands, and media owner publishers, of course. Okay, with that, let's get the conversation going, guys. First question. What are some key tech innovations in programmatic digital out of home that advertisers and marketers should be paying attention to today? Chloé, you want to tackle this one first?
Sure. Thanks, Hector.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think what's really exciting in programmatic digital out of home right now is really planning and forecasting. It sounds like very basic, that's something that's been around for a long time, but really when it comes to digital out of home, it's really unique. It's a physical space. It's not like a digital product that, you're clicking on an ad on a mobile device. And so we really need to start arming agencies like yourselves with the right tools to really be able to plan and optimize and essentially monitor digital out of home campaigns through, tools that, essentially give you an ability to storytell what is happening, where the person who is actually like viewing your ad and is creating that impression, they're walking down the street and they're seeing your ad physically. What is the context of that happening? And for example, like something that we do is the storytelling angle of like someone going from one location to the other, maybe their commute. And so we have essentially ways to plan and optimize on a journey from one location to the other, and kind of telling that story when selling in to your advertiser and explaining that to them. And so you need those tools to be able to show and illustrate that story. And so we've noticed that that's a huge trend that's happening right now in digital out of home.
Yeah, totally agreed. I think planning and forecasting is going to be very key, or has been very key, and will continue to be for the industry. I think at a higher level, there's been a kind of evolution in the breadth and depth of how data is used across digital out of home. For the longest time, we were predominantly using location data, but now we have access to way more data, whether it's screen performance data, contextual data, conversion data, or even like external data related to events or social sentiment, which gets often used in activation through dynamic creative optimization. But then to Chloe's point, with the rise in kind of like these planning tools and more emphasis on, optimizing campaign strategy earlier in the campaign lifecycle, all these different data points lead us to, be able to have much smarter and much more performant campaigns.
Love it. Fantastic. Let's talk a little bit about planning and forecasting. Planning has always been around, obviously. So, could you explain what's new and exciting about it?
Yeah. I think something, as we mentioned, it's the main key trend that's happening within digital out of home right now. But I think mainly what we're seeing is that it's not just channel DSPs that are noticing that planning is a trend. It's all ad tech platforms are noticing that it's a trend. And you'll notice that most DSPs, including omnichannels, are also starting to build their own planning tools specifically for digital out of home and that uniqueness that it has. There's always been planning and forecasting tools for CTV, for online advertising, and specifically when it comes to audience targeting. But those types of tools are just, a lot of them spit out graphs and forecast specifically for audiences and for online, but it just doesn't translate for out of home. And that's why some of the new tools that are coming around that are exciting is that it's becoming widely available regardless of where and how you're buying digital out of home. And now there are features that are specific to that storytelling. A lot of maps, obviously, is the main key feature. And I think that's where specifically in tools like ours, that's kind of what it really helps sell in that story, is starting with a map and showing visually where the inventory that you're purchasing. And some of the key awesome features that are coming within planning tools are really the mapping capability and the illustrations of the map to sell in that story. So I think you'll notice that there's more and more innovation coming in that direction. And that's where the excitement is really being built up.
Yeah, spot on. Really well said, Chloe. I couldn't agree more. So, if you're an agency, what is the value add of using a planning tool?
Yeah, there's a lot of benefits. And I think what's really cool is it really helps with first the communication. When we are planning, we as a buyer have to communicate with either, our DSP partners and potentially the media owner publishers. There's so many emails going back and forth when planning, and having a centralized planning solution actually minimizes and reduces the amount of communication. For example, we have some tools that allow you to essentially share your plan with your advertiser for them to approve or reject it. One centralized location with the map that's showing you this is what you're buying. Do you agree to those terms or not? And I think there's going to be more and more innovations on that, when it comes to potentially other forms of buying digital out of home programmatically as well. And it also, on top of that, once you've essentially shared what the plan is, you now have this great handoff between the salesperson who is selling in essentially a proposal and a campaign to that advertiser and handing it to the ad operations user. And what that creates is now you have one location within that you're planning, regardless of what DSP you're using. You can go from planning tool to then using activation tools. So really where you can quickly convert a proposal or plan into a campaign. And that's kind of the features that we've built within this year. And I think a lot of the other partners within the ad tech space are also doing, which is really cool. It saves time for the ad operations user, and it makes it easier for that transition from proposal to campaign to activate really quickly, saves you time as well. And on top of that, as I've been mentioning, obviously within these great tools is the capability to now add another level of forecasting as well. So when you're doing your proposal, you can essentially say, give me some ideas on what I can do. You'll see different options of like different triggers, of weather-based triggers. We have other tools that will give you the capability to do specific moments or situations like that. So what's really great about it is that you can kind of take that knowledge that you've gotten from the plan, and then once it's executed, bring it back into your learnings and into the future. But obviously, eventually, we hope that this will also give you value for your next proposal, essentially.
Yeah, well said.
Absolutely. Like, I think, Chloe mentioned a lot like mapping and visualization. I think that's one very key aspect about planning, and it's been a big part of Hivestack's DNA. That digital out of home is a very different channel than all the other ones, and I think any tool that we can bring to buyers and that they can bring to their brands to help them see exactly how their campaign will run in a visual way that can kind of bring more trust and more confidence to that campaign and lead to more conversions and eventually more budgets. And I think the forecasting aspect is very key. Our goal is basically to have brands know exactly what they get before they even need to spend $1. And I think what's really interesting is where we want to take this, where with all this data that we have, whether it's forecasted or historical data that we've seen from past campaign performance, planning tools will or have and will continue to kind of like be able to bring very impactful recommendations to campaign strategy. And so let's say our planning tool can kind of educate a buyer that if they were to add a certain venue type into their targeting, they could, let's say, double their audience reach while keeping their CPMs at the same level. And I think that's where it's going to get very interesting. The buyer's always going to be the one owning campaign strategy, but then the planning tool can be like a great assistant or like a great sidekick to that process.
Yeah, I like that a lot. 100%, right? Bring it to life.
Exactly.
Bring the campaign to life. Fantastic. So tell us about audience targeting and programmatic digital out of home. How does it work?
Yeah. So it's mostly all done through location data, which is kind of our version of cookies. And it's basically through location data, we can observe the movement of device IDs, like smartphone device IDs, which are all anonymized and captured with user consent. And then we can start seeing their movement patterns. So which stores or points of interest have they been to? And we can also get kind of these tags from different third parties to let us know that, a certain device has been shopping for a bicycle, let's say. And then what gets very interesting is that we can see when these devices are in front of a digital out of home screen. And so through all of that, what we do is we build what we call an audience concentration, which is a percent value, which basically lets us know if we run an ad on a certain screen, then let's say 10% of the people seeing that ad are part of our audience. And so that's also a great way to kind of give a kind of primary buying metric to DSPs.
Yeah, I think some other things that, just to jump on what Dara mentioned, some other things of how audiences work is that what we're seeing generally is that, historically, we've been using audiences in a more binary situation where, these users came into your retail store and we know they came in like 5 times a week. And so we would consider them a loyalist. And so we want to target those people. And that's kind of how we were or have traditionally in out of home been targeting users. But now specifically DSPs, channel DSPs, omnichannels, we have so much breadth of data. We have like another level above that now. And so it's, going from, we know this person went into your store, but now it's that we know this person has intent and has been looking for this product. And And so they have purchase intention behind it. So that makes that impression even more valuable than before. And so I think that's what's really exciting, is that what we're seeing is that we have, obviously now we have this type of targeting. We also have demographic targeting for audiences. So specifically, if I'm thinking of like more of advertisers within the film and movie space, they usually have a very specific demographic that they're looking for, 18 to 45 male for maybe a superhero movie. And so they can target easily that way. And we can also utilize your purchase and transaction data that, maybe a retailer has, and access that to get the purchase intentions, to know kind of what this person is, a chocolate lover or something like that, and target them to go to, a Costco and buy more Lindt chocolate. So something like that is really exciting. So I think it gives you more ways to activate on audiences, and really on the specific use case and what you as a brand are trying to value. And so I think it's those are kind of the different audience targeting opportunities now available at programmatic digital out of home, which traditionally have been available in other channels. And we're now at the same level as all of them when it comes to audience targeting, which is really cool.
It's very cool. Agreed, Chloe. All right, Dara, this one's for you. You previously mentioned interesting use cases that leverage data beyond location data. Can you talk to us through that, or can you walk us through that? Give us an example of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one very interesting kind of use case is through DCO, like dynamic creative optimization. DCO isn't new to digital out of home. We've been doing it for actually quite a long time, like running an ad when it's, sunny outside. That said, I think there's been lots of technological advancements there and lots of kind of increases in availability and accessibility of that data, which lets us do much more sophisticated use cases, which end up being much more powerful for a campaign's results. And one example is a project we've been working on, which we actually launched a PR about, where we're connecting with airport data to basically allow buyers to target travelers, let's say people flying into Chicago from London. And in leveraging that airport data, we get to know, let's say for a given week, all the different flights from that origin to that destination. What are the flight times? What gates are people, leaving from or arriving to? And even being able to trigger certain events or certain moments, like Chloe was talking about, where we can, let's say, change an ad if a certain flight was delayed. And this is all kind of deeply integrated into our platform, in that like a buyer can log into a DSP, see an actual blueprint of a given airport, and see what are the relevant gates based on the audience that they're targeting, and what are some nearby locations with longer dwell times, like business lounges or restaurants or bars. And I think that can lead to really creative messaging and kind of stronger campaign strategies. And to me, this is especially interesting because when we talk about location data, even though everything that we do is fully compliant, like we're GDPR compliant, CCPA compliant from a global perspective, I think it's still always interesting for us and for the wider industry to see if we can kind of maintain that same effectiveness in audience targeting without ever using consumer data.
Spot on, Dara. Spot on. Absolutely. Let's talk about measurement a little bit here. So, Dara, how is programmatic digital out of home measured? What are the most effective measurement tools you're seeing out there?
Yeah, so I think the way we do measurement in digital out of home is very similar to audience targeting. So it's heavily based on location data, and it's all about understanding which devices were exposed to an ad campaign and which devices weren't. And from there, we can do a lot of interesting analysis, generally like A/B testing and so on, across different levels of the sales funnel. So let's say we have a product for footfall measurement where we can see if devices that were exposed to an ad had a higher likelihood to then walk into a brand's brick and mortar stores, We can also work with third parties to send surveys to devices that were exposed to an ad and see if there was an increase in brand awareness. We've also worked with search companies that can tell us if there's been an increase in search trends or even purchase intent for certain product categories in the areas where we ran an ad campaign. I wouldn't say there is a most effective tool in general. I think the important thing for buyers is to early on understand what their campaign goals are, what the brand's goals are with those budgets, let's say, and then from there pick the right tool for it.
Yeah, spot on. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Chloé, this one's for you. What are some new innovations around measurement?
I think with the increase of planning tools, we're going to see a lot of increased changes to essentially measurement. And so it's not just going to be about kind of conversion based, as what Dara was mentioning. I think we're going to see more things that are coming down the pipeline, and even it's currently in our roadmap is knowing how often someone came. So like how many people you're reaching within either a specific audience or a demographic breakdown, and how often they're seeing this ad. So to get a better sense of reach and frequency, and being able to know that either even at the planning stage, getting an estimate, and also at the end. So I think it's like measurement is going to now be at the beginning and end of a campaign, which will be really cool. And not only are we going to measure these results, but at the end of the campaign, you'll have a better sense of what that result was, and then you can optimize it in the future with the planning tool. And also, since you'll have a better sense of kind of what that estimate, what you got before, you can now make tweaks and adjustments to your future campaign. And with the estimated reach and frequency, you'll be able to see, am I going to achieve the same results now that I've removed this venue type? Will I still get the amount of reach of my audience I was anticipating? So I think that's kind of where we can see that you can better sell in to your advertiser kind of the return on investment and the learnings you'll have with post and pre-measurement when it comes to planning tools.
Yeah, that's really exciting. It's one of the many things that makes me really excited about the Hivestack planning tool market, quite honestly. And we've been talking about it for a couple of months to our agency, brand, and media owner partners. So to see it come to life is really, really exciting, quite honestly. So this is a question that, of course, everyone wants to hear from you guys specifically. What do you see? What's the next biggest challenges you see for programmatic digital out of home over the next year or so? What do you guys think, Chloé?
So I think the challenges for digital out of home, are probably the same as most advertising media challenges that we're seeing right now. It's really, the challenges of the after effects of COVID, interest rate hikes, the potential, are we in a recession? Are we not in a recession? Kind of speak. It's causing advertising budgets to be either restricted or more stringent on a focus on return on investment. And so that's the challenge, is that digital out of home is in a growth stage, I would say. It's still kind of a later player to the ad tech space than other mediums. And because of that, it makes it harder to say, give us your advertising budget. And so I think as a, ad tech partner, as a buyer, you have to be mindful of that. And so you have to build trust with your advertiser. And I think that challenge is going to be overcome with essentially tools focused on management and planning, because you'll have tools to give that story to your advertiser. And proof points for return on investment. So it's going to build more trust and confidence to people who are new to buying digital out of home.
Yeah, completely agreed. I think it's a pretty interesting kind of landscape that's ahead of us, in that, education has always been so key for digital out of home. And there's been a lot. I think we've come a long way. There's still room for growth there. And I think with a lot of the improvements in, technology and the different functionality that's available, we talked about how, DCO has completely transformed from very simple, like weather targeting, to now, very bespoke, airport kind of triggers and so on. And this is all leading to brands getting, way more excited about the channel. That said, that excitement isn't yet reflected in, increases in their campaign budgets. And so agencies are put in like this very tough position of having to do much more with less, basically. And so this has been pushing us, at least, to really focus on efficiency, making, kind of large campaigns or managing several campaigns at scale to be much more efficient, much easier, much quicker. And even kind of looking towards doing stuff like enabling DCO on a campaign through the click of a button. That said, I'm still pretty bullish on digital out of home. I think we'll come out of these tough times and have a pretty good swing in Q4, and kind of keep that going throughout 2024.
Yeah, same, Dara. I couldn't agree more. Lots of room to still grow within the space, that's for sure. I feel as an industry, we're definitely putting out the tools that are much needed. Still lots of room to grow there as well, but we're really excited about this Hivestack planner again. Efficiency is key, beyond key. So I couldn't agree with you more there, guys, for sure. So what are you both most excited about when it comes to the future of the channel?
I think for me, what I'm most excited is the ability to go global. Today, specifically in the US market, we're super fortunate in the fact that, ad tech is traded in USD. And what makes it super exciting is that I can log into my DSP and really target globally. And so there is now inventory available all over the world. And I can essentially be able to run a campaign for a brand, essentially, like, you can run a campaign for a brand globally in 32 countries currently. And so that's super exciting. And so I think that ability is quite unique, and just shows that digital out of home is now, at the same span as any other medium.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've always loved kind of the global campaigns, and kind of like someone in New York running an ad campaign for like a brand that's based in London, but then running it in kind of Germany because they're kind of expanding there. That's always been a really great story, especially for out of home, which out of all the advertising channels generally has the most, how would you say this? Kind of the most outworldish and kind of interesting types of campaigns. That's always been something that's very kind of prominent to the channel. Besides that, I would say one thing that we're getting pretty excited about is a little bit the interconnectedness of the channel and the different kind of tech platforms. So as a channel, we're very much maturing in terms of the kind of integrations and connections and partnerships that we have between, let's say, like DSPs and SSPs and data providers, data management platforms. And that all kind of like bleeds into the agencies and the publishers themselves. It brings about a lot of great opportunities for the channel to become way more efficient, way more effective, not just through having more integrations, but having those integrations be kind of deeper and kind of more closely integrated. And efficiency is key. Like we've talked about it a lot, and it's all about, giving to brands more value for every dollar that they're spending in the channel.
Yeah, well said, right? Efficient, effective. Again, circling back to the Hivestack planning tool, it's just really exciting to be able to, at this level, whether right here in our backyard, guys, in the U.S., to plan, activate, and measure at this level, but also right at your fingertips to be able to do so at a global level, whether if it's like you said, Dara, in the UK for an EMEA campaign or in Tokyo for an APAC campaign. We're seeing good amount of that, good amount of traction. So that's really interesting to be able to have that at your fingertips, to move quickly, to plan smart, to activate in a more efficient way, and to measure with great results to justify the spend. It's just very exciting time, quite honestly, within the out-of-home and programmatic digital home space. I thank you a ton, Chloé, Dara, and on behalf of all of us here today and the Hivestack Global team, as well as the Ad Club of New York, thanks for attending, and hope to see you again soon. And also, please make sure to join them and us at the 16th annual Out of Home Now conference on Tuesday, December 5th in New York. Details are also on the site. Thanks again. Thanks again to the 6,000 plus members and the Ad Club, and it continues to grow and expand. And we're excited about our partnership. And thanks again to the Ad Club for allowing Hivestack to talk about its new innovative tools to market. Thank you so much, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. See you, everyone.